What's up, everybody? We are over on worldflipper to talk about a 5-star tier list. I've had a lot of you guys commenting on my videos, a lot of new players. We've had a spike of new players recently, which is super amazing to see, and a lot of people have been commenting saying, hey, the tier lists I'm looking up on YouTube, they're expired, and I don't know what's current, what should I re-roll for, all this good stuff. So I wanted to put together a tier list for you guys, any new players that are coming into the game. They'll be able to snap to these videos. I want to try to do one at the beginning of every month to see how the game or meta has shifted based on new units that have come out. When making tier lists, not everybody's going to agree with this. This is just my opinion. This is my list of units that are useful in the game, that have been helpful for me, that I wish I knew to pull for going into the game, and all of that good stuff. So just wanted to throw that disclaimer out there before diving into the list. And I'm going to be streaming Lost Ark tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube and Twitch. So if you want to take part, hang out while I play Lost Ark. It's going to be my first time playing that game. I'm going to be learning it, figuring it out, trying all the classes. So stop on by if you'd like to hang out and see Lost Ark, what that game's all about. It's coming out tomorrow. It's going to be a blast. And hopping on over to the tier list, we're going to put this together to help new players. I wish there was something like this that was a little more detailed when I started the game. I literally discovered worldflipper 2 weeks after it came out globally, had no idea about the JP version. I actually discovered the game while watching a ad for a Dokkan YouTuber I was watching, and then the worldflipper ad came on. I heard the soundtrack. I'm like, that's kind of catchy. I'll just check it out. And then here I am now making videos, and I am a official worldflipper content creator. So this is going to start it off. We're going to go through the elements. We're going to take a look at each of these units here. We're going to start with Cypher. Cypher is the water support unit. He can buff support, inflict mire. You're going to give bonus damage to your team. In terms of overall usefulness, she does fit on a lot of water teams. She's a very good support, but she also doesn't fit on water teams. So we're going to leave her right here at tier 2. And as we go through this tier list, guys, I might make adjustments based on the whole element. Once I'm done, like putting like all the water units up there, I might move stuff around. So we're going to keep on going. We have Celine. Celine is a direct attack damage dealer. She is a leader for direct attack. She can increase buff times for your party. She's a fantastic water unit as well, but she does have kind of a niche role. So I'm going to place her in tier 2 with the Cypher. It's not a bad tier to be in. They're very good at what they do, but they also kind of have more niche roles, whereas you pulling them right at the beginning of the game, you're not going to have probably all the units to make them shine the way they normally would. Same thing goes for Remnant. Remnant is another direct attack water unit. He gives huge bonuses, but if you don't have a way to activate his abilities or kind of bring up all that direct attack damage, it's going to kind of punish you, and so we are going to leave him at tier 2. Rakisha is unbelievable. She is a fantastic water unit. She literally is a battery for water. She gives skill gauge to your whole water team. We're going to place her at tier 1. There's no way that I'm placing her anywhere else for water. She is going to be a fantastic unit. You put her on any water team, all of your skills are going to go right away. If you're new to the game, that's the unit's ultimate ability. It's their activate their active skill. She completely eliminates the time at the start that these water units need. So tier 1 all the way for Rakisha. We then have Suizan. Suizan is going to be, he's going to be a tier 3 for me. He's a good unit. He'll be much better later on, but he's very specific to poison. Poison is going to get an update in the future that adds effects, makes poison better. So right now, I would not recommend starting with a Suizan if you pulled this unit like I did. My first 5-star of the game was a Suizan. I had no idea, and I was just like, yeah, I got a 5-star. It's freaking great. I'm having an awesome time. It was not. It was a terrible, terrible time. So I definitely recommend to not start the game with a Suizan. We have Sonia up next for the last of these water units. Sonia is we're placing her up here in tier 1. Sonia, as much as I've used all these different water units, and you might go through my channel, you might be like, hey, Mr. Rateup, I see you use Remnant. I see you use Remnant a lot, and you praised Remnant, and why isn't he above Sonia? Things like that. This is overall usefulness. This is a unit that you can pull, and you can start placing water units. You can start placing your Light Thunder units with these different units on this tier list, and how they affect just the generic overall usefulness for you starting out, for you building teams. Sonia is so good. You have her as a leader that's inflicting a lot of damage. You have her double buff hit ability that's going to be inflicting even more damage. She's raising attack. It's just, she generically fits, raises attack for water when the combo count goes up. So Sonya and Rakisha are going to be, I think, the tier 1 for water for me there. So for light, we have Ralzelt. Ralzelt is a tank. He is going to be absorbing damage for your team. He's going to be upping the damage your party does the more hits he takes. I would put him at a tier 1. He has so many useful just positions to absorb damage, help your team survive. He activates recover, he gives resistances. Ralzelt is a fantastic light support unit. Next we have the Nephtem. Nephtem is a very good unit, but she is one of those niche units. I talked about how they're good in their own element, but if you pull Nephtem and you don't have any way to support the fever mechanic that she does, I'm gonna keep Nephtem here at a tier 2. Light Fever is amazing still. It's a great team, but you have to have the pieces to make it work the way that you want it to. And then this brings us to Boletta. She is so good. She is the first, she's going to be the first of our tier 0 units. She has just the ability to increase power flip damage, which is the damage you're getting from the little flippers, gaining those power levels, lighting up, and you hit up. You're getting huge bonuses from there. She's providing Pierce, which allows you to move through things. She is going to be buffing her own attack if you have her as the leader. You can have her as the support. You can have her as the unison. The main slot is just so versatile in what Boletta can do. I actually started with her on my JP side account, and I put her as the leader and just smashed through all the early game content without even really looking at the screen. So definitely worth the reroll if you were trying to pick a unit to start with. She is going to be one of those tier 0 units at the moment in this game. We then have Turgis. Turgis is, I love this unit, but Turgis is so specific in what he does. He's kind of floating for me between this tier 2, tier 3 spot. He's not bad, but he also is very specific in what he's doing. I wouldn't recommend people to start with a Turgis. He's going to be something that once you have a built up box and you pull him, you can put him to use in very specific niche ways. So we're going to leave Turgis there at the tier 2 spot. It's just so awkward with him because I do love using him, but like I'm not going to tell somebody to start the game with the Turgis. Like that's not a start that I'm going to pursue somebody to have. Then we have Eclair. Eclair is the same thing. Eclair is really good with specific units on the team, but if you don't have those units, you're going to be very upset that you have Eclair. I'm like doing this tier list and I'm realizing like I started with a Suizan and then pulled an Eclair. Like that was my start, and then I just was like so excited to have 5 stars, and I was very sad early on in this game. The next is going to be Librum. Librum is also super niche. That's not even a question for me. He's going to be a tier 3 unit. He has a very unique role in cleaving big bosses. He has this skill where he has all these swords come out and it does this huge cleave across the screen, and if you're not hitting a huge target, he's almost useless. His team requires you to have very specific units to keep his abilities active. It's just not something you want to start with. He's not a great unit there. I'm going to leave him there. I've used him a few times, made a video on him if you want to watch it. We do have Inaho next. Inaho is the first of the Thunder units. Inaho is a paralysis support that's also filling up fever gauge, so I'm going to keep her at a tier 2 right now. She is a unit that can go in to a team that's doing thunder fever, that is trying to inflict paralysis and kind of be like a support battery for fever almost. But once again, another unit that's very archetype and team specific focused, so you're going to want to have a kind of a built up way to use her, not pulling her right away and just going into dungeons with her. And same thing with Cagliostro. Cagliostro is a thunder support and a healer, but by herself, it's just kind of this unit that it's like she fits on very weird teams and it's not something that is generically useful, so I'm going to keep her definitely at a tier 3. She can heal, she can apply damage per the amount of healing, so you can stack her up and do some kind of weird funky stuff there with her, but I'm going to keep her at a tier 3 because out the gate it's not great. We do come to Metis. Metis is the Thunder Fever lead. For me personally, she is a tier 1 Thunder unit. She is just this huge fever battery. Fever is this mechanic where you hit the boss, you hit whatever target, you build up this meter. Every time you hit it, the fever count goes up, and when the thunder skills go off, Metis is able to kind of trigger that in solo gameplay like right away. You get a huge boost to the fever gauge, enter fever right away, which then complements units that gain bonuses from being in fever. So we're going to keep the Metis up here at tier 1 for sure. Then we have Barek. Barek is really good, but he requires units, so sadly he is going to be a tier 2 pick for me. He is a unit I tried to build teams around him before this next unit came out, and it just felt bad. Like, it never felt good using Barek. But then you get Sarah, and Sarah is 1000% a tier 1 thunder unit in my eyes. You have her on Barek's team, which is able to fill up the gauge and get this combo count high, because Barek is required to hit these high combo counts. You need units that can generate combo quickly to go right away. Otherwise, Barek is going to miss his timings. His damage will fall because the combo counts haven't been hit. So having Sarah and Barek together like that, it's an amazing pair. It's a great team. It's what people are using right now to clear the Hermit Godly. If you haven't seen those videos, I have it in my Hermit Godly teams you can take in. You can see how these units work together. But separately, you do want to see Sarah by herself, as she can be placed on almost any Thunder team. Like, I don't feel bad using this on any Thunder team and any team that's using like a Mecha Droid unit, because she has that ability to give the gauge to a Mecha Droid. So you can unison that on from the back row and doesn't even have to be on a Thunder team. You're now gaining bonuses right there. So now we approach into the dark units. We have Belcidia. Belcidia is going to be a unit that does more damage the weaker she is. So an enmity team, if you've played Grand Blue Fantasy, she is that enmity leader. I'm going to place her... this is so tricky, because yes, she's tier 1 in the terms of the skill damage she can provide, but she's also a glass cannon, so that makes me want to put her at tier 2. I'm gonna leave her at tier 2 for right now. Might change that, but the fact that you can take her into certain dungeons and absolutely obliterate them, or you could take her into the wrong dungeon and get obliterated yourself. So it's very risk-reward kind of team. So that's not something I would recommend starting out with, especially if you don't have a built-up account to complement how she functions. I'm going to leave her right there for now. And then on to Carla. Carla's the dark direct attack unit that exists at the moment. We are getting one soon for the half anniversary. Olivia, it's going to make Carla a lot better, but I am going to leave Carla here at this tier 2 spot. This is something that is fun to use. It's generic in the terms of if you have a lot of dark units and you want to do direct attack, and she works, but it's not going to feel as strong as some other builds. I did a dark direct attack build and it was a lot of fun, but it takes a lot of investment to get it to a mediocre point. Like, you're maxing out godly, arch, accursed weapons, you're maxing out these units, and you're just kind of feeling on par. You're not even feeling like you spiked ahead an advantage. So we're going to leave her at a tier 2. She is going to get better when Olivia comes out, so this will change in the March tier list and things will shift around. But as of right now, we are going to go to this unit, Mormia. Mormia makes me so sad. Personally, Mormia is my favorite art-wise. Mormia is my favorite unit. I think Mormia's art is some of the best in the game, but she just doesn't know what she is in terms of her placement on any kind of team. She doesn't want to do skill damage fully. She doesn't want to do direct attack fully or attack. It's just such an awkward unit to use. I leveled mine up. I have put investment into it after I finally struggled to pull it for so long, and I wasn't even having fun using it. It makes me so sad that she's so just awkward in her kit. But yeah, she's going to be a tier 4 for me. She is just this awkward unit, and it depresses me to no end. But I am literally a Mormia simp, and you cannot tell me that is a good unit. I will disagree to the end of the world. That unit is just so bad, and it hurts. And that is probably why you guys haven't seen a video on her yet, if you've been following my channel, is because it's not fun. It's not even fun recommending her as it is some of these other off-meta units that build these kind of fun teams that do these gimmicky things. She does not, and it hurts so bad. Anyway, On to Viren. Viren is, in my humble opinion, for new players, for current players, for any kind of player, as of right now, I personally think Viren is the best unit in the whole game. Starting out, he can be placed on any team. He gives an insane attack buff when Pierce is active. He provides Pierce to the whole team. He is got nice numbers. Later on, when you get to the point where you can buy the Maltet is going to be a weapon in the exchange shop that lets you exchange 50 of the scrolls for maxing out mana boards of these units. You can exchange for the Maltet, gives you 280% attack while Pierce is up. It enables that. Viren is the unit that I wish I re-rolled for at the beginning of the game before I knew anything. I was told to roll for like Furia and Celti and like how good they are. And then upon getting Viren, the whole game changed. Everything became easier. My teams all felt stronger. He was on every team I had at the beginning. He's still on a lot of teams that I play. Hands down to me, Viren is like the king of this game at the moment. I know it's going to change, and I know some of you guys have other opinions. You think other units are better, and that's totally fine. It's just for me. Viren and Beretta, they're the two units. As of right now, I haven't gone through the whole list yet, but getting either of these units and starting out the game, you are going to be more than happy that you have them. They are absolutely just generically insane, and they're great. So, this takes us to the wind units. This is the first unit here, Furia. Furia is a wind support that I was told to roll for, and how amazing and good that Celti and Furia would be, and it was something that I was very confused after a while as to why I was told to roll for it. Furia, in terms of a wind support, she heals, she gives levitate, she buffs the party's attack while levitate is going. Definitely, to me, still is a tier 1 wind unit, but it's not something that I would like. If I rolled a Boletta or a Viren and somebody was like, hey, you know, Furia's pretty good, I would be like, okay, I'll get her one day. I have a Boletta or a Viren, I'm pretty okay. Which then this takes us to the next wind unit on the list. We have Leon. Leon hovers for me between the this makes me sad and a tier 3 unit. Leon is a wind power flip unit in an archetype wind, which has microscopic power flip support. You've got very few units that support his mechanic. He just kind of bounces right here for me. So I'm gonna leave him right now on this unit. Makes me sad because even fully investing into Leon, I was not thrilled with the results after it happened. So it makes me sad. That's why this unit is called This Units Make Me Sad. He's just one of those units that I wish was a little better. His mana board too, once that comes, he is going to probably rise up a little bit in the tier list. He does get better, but for right now, he is going to have his home be this tier 4 selection, which then takes us to Celti. Celti was this unit that a lot of people at the beginning of the global launch said this is the best unit in the game, roll for this unit, and people were going crazy rolling for this unit, which I also was trying to re-roll for, and I had no clue that she is good, but I had no clue that she would be outshined so quickly, and not in terms of generic use, which is what this tier list is for. I just strongly believe that for generic purposes that she is a tier 2 unit because she's very specific to a wind float combo team, whereas these other units like Furia, for example, can be put on almost any wind team and be useful. So that is why I'm leaving Celti at a tier 2. Tier 2 is kind of that middle of the road, more of a niche spot. It's going to bring us down to Murakumo. Murakumo is a free-to-play 5-star unit. You can get him by doing the Orochi boss in the exchange shop. You can exchange for him, and he has a very low chance to drop. He is the free-to-play 5-star of the game, and in terms of generic usefulness, the amount of teams that this man can be put on as the unison unit, giving you that huge attack buff for that 30 seconds at the battles start, for power flip teams, for teams that want to do the one punch style or the Wanpan gameplay style. He is really, really amazing for a free unit. So he's going to be up here on the tier 1 units because I have used him personally on teams that aren't even wind. He's just been in that leader unison spot and he's done work. So keeping him up there. And then we go down to Shiwei, and Shiwei is another wind support unit. You're going to be getting levitate and direct attack from Shiwei, and it's also that kind of specific support, but she can also fit into direct attack damage teams in terms of being that back row support. So she, for me personally, in my experience with running Shiwei, has bounced between like tier 1, tier 2. if I keep her in the tier 1, it's like a super low tier 1, like all the way. What I will do is I will actually go through these at the end and kind of resort them in terms of like how good each one is in their own tier. But for now, we will leave her at a tier 2. Very, very good unit, is used in a lot of teams that I've put together that aren't even win related. Is just a nice mechanic there. It's easy to build combo with her skill. Your direct damage bonus that you're getting from her is very nice. So gonna leave her there. Then we come to Marina. Marina was my white whale. Could not pull her until my last summoning video. If you haven't seen that, check it out. I freak out over this unit, even though it was something that came out at the beginning of the game. I was just able to pull her, but in terms of fire and multi-ball support, Marina is really, really strong, and I wish I had her at the beginning. So for fire multi-ball, she is going to be a tier 1. It's just, she's a fantastic unit, and I was very sad I couldn't get her. So if you have Marina, don't feel bad that you've pulled Marina. She's very good. And then we do have Miguel. Miguel is, like I mentioned about Leon, he's one of the few rare wind power flip units that even mention that mechanic. He is a huge stat number for wind units, but outside of that, if you aren't running a specific like wind power flip team, as of right now, I do think he's kind of lower in the tier list. I do think this will improve as we get more wind power flip support, so we're going to leave him there at a tier 3. And then this takes us to Clarice. Clarice is a great unit to kind of mess around with like fire skill damage. Gives gauge, she increases skill damage. I wouldn't say Clarice is a tier 1. She's like that Shiwei. She's got the Shiwei syndrome. She's like a high tier 2, low tier 1 unit. So I'm just going to place her here on this tier 2. We're going to resort these at the end. And then we have Kikano. Kikano is a fire multi-ball support. She was a semi-limited unit that came out, then they took her away from the banners and brought her back again. Now she's permanent in the generic summon pool. So for a fire multi-ball, I definitely feel like she is a strong tier 2 unit. She is useful in that team, very useful in fire multi-ball, but like I said, tier 2 is these really niche kind of units, so we are going to leave her on the tier 2. And then this takes us to Rolf. Rolf is another unit like Boletta, like Viren. You pull this unit, you put him on any team, you are not going to be upset that you pulled that unit. He is the third tier 0 unit that for me, I've put him on so many teams. He's giving leader attack, he's reducing power flip levels, he's giving your whole team pierce. He is a fantastic unit. So any of these 3 units that you're able to grab is going to be a nice start. I personally feel this order is how I played the game. The things that I noticed and affected me the most, Viren being the strongest, then Boletta, then you had Rolf after that. So these 3 are the titans for my tier list. They are the good world flipper units that can just be thrown, literally just, you have a team, I'll just throw it in there, it'll work, it'll do its job. So look for these units if you're re-rolling, they're very good. We've got ourselves Wagner. Wagner is a power flip reduction, power flip damage booster, very niche in what he does. I'm gonna leave him here at the tier 2. Not a lot of people play him. Like, he's one of these units for me that's bounced back and forth. I haven't pulled this unit, so take it with a grain of salt. I just see what people have with this unit. He's put on teams that are very specific to fire and power flip, so I'm gonna leave him there at the tier 2 with that just niche kind of spot, because he's definitely not a terrible unit, but he is just weird to kind of use outside of that. This brings us to our limited units. These are units that have come on holiday banners that have gone away, and they have not come back. They'll come back when the banners get rerun during those holiday times. And the first one is New Year's Elia. New Year's Elia is for water skill damage. New Year's Elia is really strong. However, it's very specific to that water type. So it's like a low tier 1, high tier 2 for me. I do like using New Year's Elia. She does do a lot of damage, and you need units to make her shine. So I'm gonna leave her at like a tier 1, kind of low tier 1, high tier 2. It's where I do feel like she fits. And we have New Year's Noween. New Year's Noween is a fire power flip support that heals, that's going to buff the leader that is fire, that's going to be doing a lot of stuff with power flip. And honestly, I have used her in so many teams that aren't fire. I do think she deserves to be up here in terms of 5 stars. She's been in so many comps, and comps I've seen people talk about, seen people post about, where it's not even a fire team, and she's there doing power flip stuff. She's helping the team out. And finally, we get to one of my favorite units in the game. He is the best unit you'll ever see, and that's end of story. Video over. Just kidding. He's not. He's a very not great unit, but he is a lot of fun to use. But being a lot of fun does not mean he's gonna be good. He just lacks in almost everything. I've tried to force that unit to work in so many different ways, and every time I do, it just ends up in being a disaster. So Christmas Shishiro is definitely on the this makes me sad list. It's just... ah, man, it makes me sad. You then have Christmas Inaho. Christmas Inaho is very specific to Light Fever, so it's just this weird support unit that it's sometimes seen, sometimes it's not. I wouldn't say she is that great as of right now. She is used in certain comps, but it's just so rare to see her there. She is a replacement for the Neftum if you don't have her in the future. So it's this tier 2, tier 3. I'm just going to leave her at tier, like a high tier 3 probably, and that's just going to be where I have her, because it's just, she's so niche and just kind of used as a replacement if you don't have other units. And then we have Christmas Marianne. Christmas Marianne, I would say, is the most useful out of the Christmas units. She gives fire skill damage. She does a lot of kind of cool stuff with that. So out of the 3, I would definitely say she's a solid tier 2. She's more useful than the others, and I see her in a lot more comps for the people that do have her, because not a lot of people super pulled on the Christmas banners since it was one of the first limited banners and people were still trying to figure out the game, me included. And that is where I'm going to keep her for now. And then I do have this little unit here. This is Shisuzu, or if you're in the Discord community, you hear people say SSS, triple S, this is who they are referring to. Shisuzu is a 3-star, but it's the meme that she is the secret 6-star of the game. There's a reason people say that, and when I pulled her, I wasn't sure what exactly she did, and I built her up, and then I realized what she did, and it was insane. So your units, they move around the map, they fill up their skills, activate their skills, you kill the boss. Shisuzu, when she's in that main slot, she's giving your leader attack. She gets 100% skill gauge herself. When she activates her skill, she fills up your leader skill gauge by 30%. So she is a little 3-star battery that's buffing your leader, giving you skill gauge, increasing damage. She is giving skill damage buff to your leader with her skill, so it's just, she is so good to try to start with. So looking at this tier list, I do like the order I have these here. This is, for me personally, how the game went and how the game goes into the future. These are almost interchangeable, but early on, I think Viren just wins out the usefulness just a little bit. For me, it was insane. Having him versus these two is just, he was in everything, and it was so good. So when I say try to reroll for these, definitely try to reroll for one of these 3. And if you can, you could pair it with a Shisuzu pull. So that's why she's up here. She is so good to have. And I do want to do a separate tier list on 4-stars and 3-stars and stuff like that. Just talk about what they do. But for now, she is going to be here for anyone looking at this for a reroll guide moving into the future. This is what I would keep this at right here. Guys, this is going to be my 5-star tier list. I know not everybody's going to agree with this, but this is my personal, just playing through the game, my personal opinion of how I found these units useful for even for new players for starting out. I wish somebody had just erased every unit on this board and just said pull for Viren and just start the game like that, because rolling for Celti and Furia, it was good in the long run, but starting out that way, it was not so great. So let me know if you're like, rateup, you're crazy, what are you doing? That list is nuts. Or if you're kind of on the same page, what you guys think with the tier list for 5-star units. Smash the subscribe button if you are brand new. Welcome to the game if you are playing World Flipper. I know I keep getting a lot of comments of brand new players hopping on board, so appreciate you being here. Lots of World Flipper content to come. And if you guys hit the thumbs up, it will bring my rates up. Peace, guys.